Not yesterday, not last year, right now. Four human beings are traveling through space at over 24,000 miles per hour on a trajectory that will take them further from this planet than any living person ever gone, and most of the Americans just scrolled past it. You know, NASA launched the Artemis II mission, four astronauts, Commander Reid Wiseman, pilot Victor Glover, mission specialist Christian Koch, and Canadian astronaut Jeremy Hansen. Their spacecraft, Orion, sits atop the most powerful rocket ever built by the humanity, the Space Launch System. Their destination is not a moon itself. They will loop around it, swinging out a roughly a 230,000 miles from the Earth before returning home 9 days later. The sounds like trim, and in many ways it is. But what you are not hearing on the evening news, and what the mainstream coverage was not carefully tiptoeing around, is that this mission carries risks that have not been faced since the Apollo era. You know, and some of those risks we don't have complete answers for, right? Let me show you everything. Here is the thing about the deep space analysis the most people don't fully grasp. Inside the safety of lower Earth orbit, where the International Space Station lives, astronauts are still largely protected by the Earth's magnetic field. It shields them from the worst of solar and cosmic radiation. The moment you leave the protective bubble and head towards the moon, the shield disappears. The Artemis II crew will pass through the region called the Van Allen belts, two massive zones of intense radiation that surrounds the Earth. Getting through that quickly is very critical. NASA's mission profile is designed to minimize the exposure time, but truth is that no humans have passed through the belt since the last Apollo missions in 1972. That is over 5 decades ago. The astronauts who did it then, several later, developed health complications that researchers have long debated in connection with radiation exposure. Christian Koch will become the farthest traveling woman in human history. During his mission, Victor Glover will become the farthest traveled black astronauts. These are not small facts. These are historic moments that deserves to be celebrated. But they are also for human living beings placed in the environment where a single unexpected solar flare could bomb them with lethal levels of radiation, and their only protection is the hull of bombed and Orion capsule and the series of protocols, and have never been tested in a real deep space emergency with a crew abroad. you know where the story takes a turn that nobody in the mainstream wants to sit with it. That is, NASA has not sent humans to deep space since December 1972, over 54 years. In the same period, private companies have risen, tech billionaires have built their own rockets, and the space race have quietly shifted from the national mission to the commercial battleground. SpaceX, Blue Origin, Virgin Galactic, these companies are all watching Artemis 2 very closely, because if it succeeds brilliantly, the argument of government funded deep space exploration strengthens dramatically. But if something goes wrong, if there is an emergency, a system failure, a close call, the political fallout could derail America's return to the moon for another generation. The stakes are not just scientific, they are deeply, profoundly political. And there is one more uncomfortable truth floating in the background of today's launch. NASA's budget has been squeezed and debated for years. The Artemis II program has faced repeated delays, cost overruns reaching in the tens of billions of dollars, and criticism from the both sides of political aisle. The people sitting inside the capsule today are not just astronauts; they are, in very real sense, the living astronauts. For why Americans should still dream big, and why those dreams deserve funding. You know what? Over the next 9 days, the Artemis II crew will execute a carefully choreographed series of MannuJours. They will test Orion's life support systems, propulsion systems, and communications, all under real deep space conditions for the first time. They will perform the what NASA called a hybrid free return trajectory. essentially using the moon's gravity in the slingshot themselves by today's Earth. If the mission succeeds as planned, the path clears for Artemis III, a mission that will actually land astronauts in the moon's south pole, where scientists believe water ice exists in permanently shadowed craters. That waters is not just scientifically interesting; it is potentially rocket fuel. It is a potentially rocket fuel. It is the foundation of permanent human presence on the moon, and from the moon Mars became genuinely reachable within a generation. The ripple effects of what launched today extends across decades of human history, but in the short term the world will watching every data transmission from that capsule, every status update, every carefully worded NASA's press release. And the moment anything at all, deviates from the planned timeline, the media cycle will shift from celebration to crisis reporting in seconds. Here is my personal prediction. Artemis 2 will succeed. The crew will complete their trajectory, loop the moon, and splash down safely in the Pacific Ocean. The image that come back of four humans hanging in the void of space with the moon behind them and the whole of Earth visible as a small blue marble with among the most viewed photographs of the decade. But the harder question, the one that follows the celebration, is what America actually does next, because landing on the moon in Artemis 3 requires another massive budget commitment, years of additional development, and sustained political will cross multiple administrations. History has shown us the America can reach the moon. History has also shown us the America can walk away from the moon and stay away for half a century. The four people who launched today cannot control what happens in Washington. They can only do their jobs with extraordinary courage, and that is worth every second of your attention today. You know what? If this mission matters to you, if you believe that humanity's story should include reaching beyond this planet, then hit the like button right now, because it genuinely helps this channel reach our people who needs to see this story. Subscribe if you are new here, because we cover the stories that nightly news doesn't give enough time. And drop your comment below. Do you think NASA will actually land on the moon in Artemis 3, or will politics and budget cuts get in the way again? I read every single comment. Let's talk about this. Thank you. Thank you very much.